Hello and welcome, race fans. Porsche Cup Challenge, the Euro Global Division. Here we are, and joining me with I'm stumbling over my own words already. Joining me in the broadcast booth tonight is none other than Misha Berger. We're gonna hear some Swiss German vocal cords tonight as the race is going on. So hey, how's it going, Misha?
Hey, salut zusammen, alles klar? Yeah, great to join you, Michael. Really excited for this race. It's quite different sitting in the broadcaster's booth than behind the seat or behind the wheel and driving. But I'm excited. Looks packed for today. I hope we can have a nice, interesting race. Not too many incidents, but really looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. After that Thursday race, which, to be honest, was a little bit brutal, I'm sure we're going to see similar, not similar, similar to the week previous, where the Sunday global race was a lot cleaner. And I guess we have high expectations for our drivers out there today. Glad you're not listening live, because maybe we're going to make you nervous out there. But so far, we're just doing our, what is it, 15 minutes open qualifying. Oh, and we're just watching maybe not such a good moment in the qualifying. We'll just switch off to someone else. But I'm set to exciting. That was definitely exciting for qualifying. But luckily,
For sure it is.
Emil's placed himself so far in sixth position, so it's not that bad. It looks like a lot of the drivers really did choose to go right away. They have a lot of time because they can only complete 4 laps, so there's a lot of open track at the end of qualifying. Not every driver, it looks like, has chosen to do that. They wanted to go out all at the same time. Interesting choice, I gotta say. But for a lot of the drivers, it's still worked out. It's looking like. But I actually wanted to cover. So last season, you were a P3 in the entire season in standing. So how does that feel, and how was that?
It was great. It was really exciting. Obviously, it took a lot of dedication, especially with two little kids at home. Um, I do not get as much practice in per week as I would like to. But that's, I guess, part of the challenge. To be efficient in your practice and be ready on Sunday evening when it matters, and just to deliver consistently, and also to finish races. I mean, we've seen a few guys being involved in incidents and losing a lot of points, um, which at the end like cost them for sure certain positions. Um, but it was nice. I mean, it was my first full season in the P Cup, and really happy with how it turned out. It was great battling with all those guys.
Yeah,
Good memories. Happy days. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And as the broadcaster last season, this season as well, is really great to see your progress as you got faster and faster throughout the season. And you could really see the learning process that you were going through. And it was just an amazing event to watch. You climb all the way up into third place in the season. And yeah, that's a really great point you brought up, is sometimes being fast and having that racecraft and on track awareness to avoid incidences and get clean races. It's a very powerful skill to have, and it definitely paid off for you last season. And
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, mate.
I'm really curious to see how this season goes along, with the people who are a little bit better at avoiding the incidences, how that goes. Um, so I guess we'll just yeah, we'll just see how that story unfolds as we go. We've got about 3.5 minutes left in qualifying. I wanted to ask you really quick, what are your thoughts on this car with the new tires, the aerodynamic updates, and everything? This car has changed quite a bit from last season, and I was just curious on a little bit of your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So first of all, I was a bit disappointed with the update,
I think most people were
because
at first.
a lot of guys were, for sure. But for me, I was really like looking forward to running tracks again that I've raced, because a lot of the tracks I raced the first time in the pickup. So I was looking forward to racing the tracks again in the same car. And it turns out the car, like, it shares a lot of the characteristics, obviously, but it is, at the end of the day, it's quite different to drive and need to get into it and learn. And for sure, one part is the understeer, which everyone talks about. So with the old car, you could kind of you can make it oversteer a bit into the corner, which then helps you to have a better exit. And this car really, really pushes over the front tires. Really feels like you're steering it with the fronts rather than sliding into the corner. So
Yeah,
this,
that's definitely a good point. Is the car behaves quite differently in that way. There's more understeer, but also, well, I wouldn't say that there's more understeer. The understeer happens differently. And the way that you rotate the car takes a little bit of a little different driver inputs, and I think that just takes time to get used to. It's definitely
yeah,
a
for sure, yeah.
it's definitely a car that you have to drive more and more and more to fall in love with. It's not quite as exciting, but there's definitely a lot of like pros still, you know?
Mm. And it's still a really challenging car to drive,
For
but
sure.
I feel the challenge comes more from how the tires behave over a stint. So you start with a very understeering car. You really need to trail brake. You need to brake earlier, I feel, than with the old car, and like really keep the trail braking maybe not as strong as before, but keep it consistent. And then because also as we see the fixed setup has a default brake pads further back, so you start overheating the rear tires more than the fronts. So you kind of come from an understeering car that starts to overheat the rears, so it becomes balanced, and then you kind of have to keep uh, the car on track until the end of the race, obviously.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
and
definitely the challenge.
you're constantly driving in a state where the rears are hotter than the fronts. It feels like, so you
Yeah.
get a bit more rotation, but then you have to keep it in check to not overcook the rears, because then it becomes really, really difficult to drive because it oversteers on corner entry, and this can be really tough to catch and to drive well.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I was talking with Rob A. West here, and he actually had just recently completed a one-on-one coaching session with Suelio Almeida. Very, very amazing coach. If anyone is looking for just improvement in their own driving, highly recommend it. I've done it myself. Not This is not a paid advertisement at all. I just think it's absolutely amazing. And he was actually saying from his lesson he learned you go one step forward, forward, forward every single lap with your brake bias. Um, let's pull up our grid, and just that's just a little tidbit of information that I'll give everyone. Um, and yeah, that's what I learned from that. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna pull up our grid. It looks like we have enough time. Misha, do you want to read them out really quickly?
I can try. I'll embarrass
Or
myself with the names. So we have Igor Kos in pole position.
gotta be quick,
Really
quick,
amazing
quick.
lap in the 18s. We have Joe Reed, then followed by Philip and Benz in the second row. Then we have Gordon and Torsten, third row. Emil and Corey, followed by Lee and Ryan. And the sixth row is going to be Thomas and Emmanuel. Then we have Danny and Julian, Alexander, Wilford, Jason, followed by Glenn and Gherkin. And we do have Barry, Duncan, Andrew, Itillo, Alexander, Mark, Rob, and Mike Walsh, which I think concludes our starting lineup.
Yeah, and the grid's small enough that you can actually read it. Not like Thursday race where, oh, I can never finish that.
It's going to be really, really exciting. A lot of the front row guys are super close in pace. We see P3 with Philip Hammer, last season's winner, and position 2 with Ben Cipher. It's going to be an amazing start. It's going to be important to
And here
get
we
on the
go.
inside.
And here we go, the lights are on, the cars are going to start revving up. You see Barney on the right side, he's about to wave his green flag, and here we go, the cars are off. Some cars lighten their tires, it looks like. They're all heading towards T1. Well, one car into the barrier, not so good start for one car, but everyone else has gotten away nice and clean. Looks like we're looking pretty good, heading up the hill so far. Let's look as they come into the beginning of the S's. We still have a whole bunch of too wide. I don't hear any cars crashing quite yet. And let's just take a quick look at all of those cars going down the S's. What a beautiful view of a beautiful car. We're going to jump real quick right up to the leader of this race. We're going to bring up the timing tower, and you can see exactly how close everyone is. It looks like Philip Hammer has gained one position. And how'd you say that, Jory?
I don't know. I don't know.
We're gonna go
we'll
with
have to
Jory.
ask him.
We're gonna have to ask him, Jory. If you ever hear this, tell us how you say your name. I think it's Jory Steinmeitz. We'll go with that. I'm sorry if that's wrong, but we got Igor Koz and Philip Hammer heading into turn 10 on our very first lap. Philip is going for the inside. He wants to be in the lead of this race. He's now taken that position over Igor, but Igor is not sitting back. He's going too wide down the hill with Jory. Jory is now taking that position back off of Philip. Oh, Philip is down many positions. He's opened up the door to be down in P5, and what a battle all of these cars are having, with now even Benza Cypher. Gordon Ramsay is now ahead of Philip. We have a lot of shuffling happening. We've got too wide going into this little jump chicane. They're jumping like an airplane, making these cars fly. Now we're heading down the S's. Everyone is still very much in contact with each other from first place all the way to 23rd. This has got to be the most intense race. I can't even imagine how Igor is feeling to be in the lead of 26 cars. That is...
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing start. What happened to Philip, I think, if you are on the outside line of this last corner, you lose so much speed, and then everyone behind is coming full throttle, and you're just sitting duck going straight to T1.
And here
it looks like everyone made a pass.
And here we go, Jory is making a move on Igor, and he's taking the inside line. Let's see if Igor can make this over-under and the switchback happen again, and no, he's not. Igor is now in second position. He was, of course, our pole position in qualifying, and he is not being allowed to just run away with it. We do, of course, still have a 5-car battle. There's a little bit of a gap to P6 with Thorsten 1.5 seconds back. But this battle for first, from first to fifth, absolutely crazy to see all these drivers really going at it and not letting anyone get too far ahead. Let me turn the music or the sound of the engines down just a little bit, just to make sure that the sound of our voice is not totally overcome by car sounds. And here they go, heading into turn 6. I don't think Igor is going to be close enough to make a pass back, but looks like Jory again got an excellent exit, and so now Igor may be at risk of losing a position to Benza Cypher, or even if it creating a gap to that lead car. So let's see what Benza Cypher decides coming down this straight. It's going to be real tight. And it looks like Benza is not able to get up alongside, so they're all going to be behaving, it looks like. And there you can see a line of cars just coming down that hill into that braking zone. Absolutely wild. Here's a 2 wide right here with Andrew Cole and Glenn Humberstone just battling it out through turn 10A and turn 10B. Andrew Cole got the best of that one, and now he's slightly ahead of Glenn, heading on to our start-finish line. Is Glenn going to dive for the inside? Let's see. Nope, he's going to stay well-behaved. So, of all of these drivers, who are you rooting for the most, Misha?
I would say myself.
If only you were in the car.
I don't know. I just hope for a great race. You know, hard and fair racing. That's what I like. You know, 2 wides into multiple corners.
Oh, and
So
there's
the
a
best man
spinner.
shall win.
And there's Lee Holmes has spun heading onto the straight. He's used a little bit too much throttle and put himself into a very unfavorable position at the very back of the field. Luckily, no one was taken out with that incident. And away we
It's
go.
so easy to be a bit impatient on that corner because you want the best exit speed possible. But I think it's a bit off camber even. So it's super easy to spin. Definitely a challenging, like when you hammer the throttle and when you have to keep respectful and use the grip you have.
Definitely. It looks like Andrew Cole has made up another position, or maybe Mark Oliver went off, but made up another position. Or Glenn Humberstone lost another position. I'm not sure. And Glenn Humberstone is now behind Mark Oliver. So the battle in the pack is happening. The battle in the fronts are happening. This is absolutely a wild race. I'm loving how clean absolutely everyone is being right now. And that's very...
Yeah, it's remarkable. Like everyone, I think there were one crash in the start and then one spin, right? That's
very
like
much...
that was it, yeah.
Very much
Which is amazing.
Very much a self-inflicted injury to go off like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And
But Road Atlanta is tough because there's some corners where they're kind of blind, and especially like in that last corner onto the back straight, if you spin and you don't pay attention, you just run into the car in front. So that's definitely something I've seen in this week's races.
definitely. And we have 2 new drivers this week who just recently signed up for our EU Global Races. We've got Jason Lyons, who I'm following along with right now. He's in 15th position. Our other new sign up is Corey Lazarus coming at us from the World Down Under in Australia. And he's got a hell of a battle here with Ryan Winfeld, Emil Koopmans, and Thorsten Seifert directly in front of them. Every one of these cars, every one of these drivers are trying to find a way through. And it looks like a little bit of a wiggle from Ryan Winfeld, but he's able to keep that composure and still stay ahead. Danny's starting to think about making a move down the S's. That is brave. And now he's in position maybe on this straight to make a pass. Let's find out if he goes for it. No. Looks like Corey got the better exit, and so Danny's gonna have to either wait to try again or just give up. But he probably won't give up. He's very persistent, Danny Hugendorn. Very persistent, as we saw last week, and we're gonna see it again this week. We got Thomas Worm Jr. directly behind Danny. And it looks like he's going to the right side of Danny, and we're going to get a 2 wide going into turn 10. And also, I heard, and there you go. Oh no! A little bit aggressive, and it's unfortunately...
Yeah, that was too late on the brakes, and then you lock up or you run out of road.
And that's unfortunately taken out. It looks like Corey Lazarus is out. And who is the other car? I'm not even sure. I'm still trying to learn everyone's paint schemes. Let's just take a quick look at how that happened. We're going to just take a real quick look at how that happened. Just go a little bit backwards, really quick. And just a little bit too late on the brakes, trying to be a little bit too brave, and unfortunately has taken out car number A5, which is Corey. So that's Danny and Corey, a little bit further back. Just a small little mistake in this car. It's easy to make mistakes, and you can see how big of an impact that can have on your race or someone else's, unfortunately.
And it's a super hard braking zone, to be fair.
Definitely.
There's not a lot of brake markers. You can use the shadow of the tree. When there's a cloud, you're like you're dead because you don't have any brake markers.
You're dead. That's a nice way to say it.
There's some spots on the floor as well, but they can be like in the shade. It's difficult to see them, and then you just look for them and never see them. Then comes the corner.
I like that.
You basically only have like a line on the side of the wall, but being on the inside or covering the inside, it's hard to see.
Definitely.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to miss the brake.
Definitely. And we're following along right now with Philip Hammer directly behind Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay has maybe he's made a few mistakes in his race, but he's lost a little bit of that that draft to the lead pack. And I'm sure Philip Hammer is definitely thinking about how can I get by this car to get right back up to that lead pack where he feels he belongs. And I'm sure Gordon feels the exact same way, that he feels he belongs there too. So this is going to become quite an interesting battle. Philip Hammer, of course, getting an excellent exit out of that corner. And I expect to see it 2 wide heading into turn 10 right about now with Philip Hammer and Gordon Ramsay. So let's see who goes on which lane position. Is Philip going to make it? Yes and no. Yes, Philip Hammer on the right lane position. But Gordon Ramsay has the advantage coming into turn 10. And Philip is not able to capitalize. So Philip is going to be behind Gordon for a little bit longer. He's really going to have to try and solve that puzzle. Heading back to Gherkin, Demir, and Julian. How'd you say this? Wicht?
I have no idea, mate. Sorry. Wicht? Is it German? Oh yeah, it is. Wicht, it would be.
Wicht?
But Wicht, I don't know.
Oh, I was totally hoping on your German. Oh, it looks like Gordon has spun.
Ooh, that was a close rejoin. Luckily, Ryan.
Let's just take a real quick look at how did that happen. Here is Gordon going off. Did he go a little bit wide? Oh, and he did. He lost control. Bensa lost control. Gordon lost control. Luckily, no cars were collected in all of these instances. But yeah, just the tiniest little mistake. And it looks like Bensa has dropped down the ladder. Gordon has dropped down the ladder. Not too much, fortunately. He's still in 6th position. I think Bensa got it much worse. And that's allowed Jory Steinmeitz to start running away with Igor Koz in tow. Philip Hammer 4.6 seconds back, 12 minutes into this race with 3 minutes left to go. I'm doubtful that he's going to be able to make up that gap. However, it puts them all in a really great spot to earn good points this race. And in a decent spot to hopefully gain a lot of points in the next race with that reverse top 8. Bensa Cypher is in 8th spot, so he's going to be put up into 1st with the reverse top 8. But he will have a loss of points from this heat race, so that's not going to help him in the season standings. I'm actually amazed at how close a lot of these drivers still are to each other. None of them have really broken away other than that front pack.
And it puts a lot of pressure on the drivers up front, because a tiny mistake and you might lose 5, 6, 7 positions quite easily, as we've just seen with Benze.
Yeah,
it's going to be exciting until the finish line. That's great.
Definitely. I think there's about 2 more laps. I'm guessing 2. We're just following along with Ryan Winfeld. Let's take a look. I'm going to pull up the biggest movers, shakers, gainers, losers of this race. Go Ryan, says late breaker. There's Adam Morrow in our Twitch chat. Oh, it looks like Gordon Ramsay is taking, trying to go hard on Ryan Winfeld. And it looks like they're bumping and bruising each other big time. That is a lot of hard racing. Maybe one for the stewards, we'll have to see. But a lot of door banging. You normally don't see that in a Porsche Cup. Quite wild to see. But that's actually opened up the door for a lot of people to get by Gordon as well. And that's put Benza back up into 5th place. Thomas Worm Jr. Oh, and here we go. Gordon is not giving up. He wants every spot possible, every point possible. He is driving out of pure desperation by the looks of it. But it's allowed Benza to start breaking away slightly from this pack. So we'll bring back the...
Yeah, it's definitely some exciting racing going on.
Oh, definitely.
It looks like Ryan got a drive-through, I would assume, that he entered the pits.
I'm going to have to guess he went for a fast repair, is my first guess. But it's also possible that there was a drive-through.
Yeah, we will have to ask him. The car looked okay, though. There was a little bit of door banging and livery exchange.
Here we go with Gordon Ramsay and Tom. Gordon Ramsay and Thomas Worm Jr. are battling it out for 6th position, too wide into turn 10. Thomas Worm Jr. wants that spot just as bad as Gordon. And the problem with that is Emmanuel Ojo and Julian Wicht are directly behind, ready to walk through that door that opens up. We got too wide heading into turn 1 with Emmanuel Ojo and Thomas Worm Jr. Emmanuel's on the inside and taking advantage of the less distance traveled, with Julian Wicht is actually now walked through that door just as well. And that's put Thomas Worm Jr., by trying to make a pass, has slowed him down that much that he's now down in 9th position. That is absolutely wild. That's hard racing, and that's just the skill that everyone has. Misha, I'm sure that's something like that's happened to you, where you think you're doing the right thing, making a pass, and you lose a whole bunch of spots. How does that feel?
Yeah, it sucks. You doubt yourself immediately. Like, it's instant regret, because you're always, when you go for an overtaking maneuver, you quickly evaluate if it's worth it or not, and then you think, you decide to go for it, and like, it's instant regret like that when you just see the cars passing by and there's nothing you can do.
And here we go. Jory Steinmeitz has won our sprint race with Igor Koz in 2nd, Philip Hammer in 3rd, Emil in 4th, Ben Cipher in 5th, Gordon Ramsay in 6th, Emmanuel Ojo in 7th, Julian Wicht in 8th. He will be in our 1st position when we start the race next in the future.
And we have a crash last corner.
It looked like Danny, but so Thomas Worm in 9th, Jason Lyons in 10th for his first appearance, Gherkin Demir in 11th, Alexander Wilford improving week after week in 12th, Danny Hugerden, of course, was the one who crashed across the line, but still keeps his position, Glenn Humberstone in 14th, Corey Lazarus in 15th, Ryan Winfeld in 16th, Rob West in 17th, Duncan Watts, currently the leader of the amateur division, in 18th, Barry Clayton in 19th, Andrew Cole 20, Mark Oliver 21, Alexander Redhead 22, Mike Walsh 23, Italo Anzioso 24, Lee Holmes 25, Thorsten Seifert in 26. I'm not sure what happened to Thorsten. He may have crashed on his own. Let me see. Yep, here I have a... Let's just take a quick look at what happened to Thorsten. Is my replay gonna load? Come on. No. Is that it? No, it won't show it. That's too bad. I was actually curious. But I'm gonna just hold up the results right there, and yeah, this is that 1 minute warm up where it's you got a little bit of dead air for the broadcasters. We're a bit of on an island here, but it gives the drivers a nice break to go to the washroom, whatever it is, cool down, bring their heart rate down. But yeah, Misha, what did you think of that race? How was that?
That was amazing. That was amazing. I'm lucky. I'm happy that we didn't see any like huge carnage going on. I was a bit afraid to see half the field wiped out in one corner, but yeah, for a difficult track with definitely some challenging corners, it's been an amazing race. Congrats to all the drivers for keeping it mostly clean. It's really exciting to watch.
Oh wait, I got the qualifying results up. That is my bad. I gotta get the sprint heat race results up. So ignore that. But on the bottom right, you can clearly see the weather that we're dealing with for these drivers. Our track conditions are 23 Celsius on the track, 34 Celsius now. I don't know if I believe that. There you go, 24. Thank you for recalculating. We got 24 Celsius track temperature. So it's quite hot. Really curious to see how this reverse grid goes for everyone. Thank you for subscribing, Wavy. Thank you very much. Every little bit helps. And yeah, we're about to start our feature race, which is 30 minutes long. And I'm really excited actually to see how this goes, especially with our reverse top 8. I'll get rid of that grid. I'll make sure to show everyone.
It's going to be crucial that you have the inside into turn 1, because if you're on the right side into turn 2, or the inside, it's just a guaranteed win win of position.
Here we go. The lights are up. Everyone's shifted into first gear. And away they go. Some smoke coming off their tires. It looks like Julian is off to a very good start. There's a lot of cars. This is 3 wide. Is there going to be 4 wide? Let's see how this goes. Everyone's making it through nice and clean. Some lines on the outside seem to be working. And Julian is still in the lead with Gordon in second. This is Emmanuel Ojo in third. Let's bring up our timing tower and let's see how close absolutely everyone is here. Coming down the hill, and oh, it looks like Igor Koz is going wide down the S's. That's going to definitely hurt him in the long term of this race. And he's getting, unfortunately, passed by a lot of cars. So now Danny is coming up the inside. This is going to be intense. How is this going to play out? And wow, look at that. That is beautiful. A lot of respect between all of the drivers. Ryan Winfeld taking the inside position on Igor, sorry, into turn 7. And that was beautiful and horrible all for Igor Koz. What a beautiful recovery, but not a very amazing situation for him. We got 3 wide heading into turn 10 with Gordon Ramsay in the lead. Oh, and a little bit of a spin. It looks like with Philip Hammer. Was Philip able to recover? We have a lot of chaos going here. We have a 3 wide heading onto our start-finish line. Oh my gosh. The reverse grid did not disappoint. We have 3 wide heading into turn 1. Everyone wants every little bit of track space, every track position. Wow, what are your thoughts here, Misha?
How are these cars still on track?
Absolutely my thoughts too. And it looks like Glenn Humberstone has crashed. Andrew Cole went off track. Wow. Julian is now being challenged for P4 by Jory. And it looks like Benza Cypher is walking through that open door as well for the top 5 spots. And this is actually allowing Gordon Ramsay, Emmanuel Ojo, and Emil Koopmans to start running away with those podium spots. Absolutely wild. These guys are battling it out. And you know, even though they're door banging and doing all this, it's still rather clean-ish. And it's amazing to see that people aren't just being straight punted, I gotta say. Here's Rob West going side by side to Talo Anzioso into turn 10. Rob on the inside, Talo on the outside. Talo looks like he's conceded the position just to make it easy, follow back in draft, and be a little bit conservative. Looks like Gordon Ramsay is still in the lead. Let's follow along with where Philip Hammer is. Igor Koz, it looks like he's in the pits as well. We have a quick moment, I think, to take a look at what happened to Glenn. So Glenn going up towards turn 2, turn 3. A little bit wild. Oh, and a little bit of an aggressive, dive, and it put a car upside down. I'm not sure who that was. That may have been Igor, but very unfortunate incident. A little bit of an aggressive dive. I'm not sure who that was, but that definitely may be one for the stewards. We'll have to see. But at least, guys, there's drop weeks, and we have 3 drop weeks total for our season standings. So if you have a bad week, such as this, you'll still be okay. Here we see Thomas Worm Jr. being challenged by the Hammer into turn 10. Philip Hammer has the much more favorable position, able to outbrake Thomas Worm into turn 10, and is now up into 7th. Misha, does this make you feel a little bit happy that you're not a part of this race, or are you absolutely missing it? I'm curious here.
No, I'm missing it for sure. I mean, it's exciting to be sitting here in the broadcaster booth with you. That's for sure. But at the end of the day, I love racing. So I love racing in this league. I dearly miss it every single time I'm not on track with the guys.
And here we're now seeing Jory Steinmeitz taking the left lane position on Emmanuel Ojo into turn 6, and Jory is has just gotten by. Emmanuel is thinking about, can he still hold that position? Not quite. Looks like Jory is getting the better exit, and now it's put Bensa in position to make a pass on Emmanuel as well. This is just going to be a battle of who's got
that might be a
the
3
exit.
wide.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this is just going to be 2. I don't think he's going to make the dive. Let's see. He doesn't make the dive. It looks like Jory is ahead. Oh, but he went real late on the brakes, and we have a 3 wide. Oh, and it's actually corrected Emmanuel. But now he's being challenged by all of these cars behind him. He's got Philip Hammer up the inside, Julian Wick up the inside. Absolutely wild racing of all of these guys. And now it's Jory is leading this pack. Jory is 4 seconds behind that lead pack of Gordon and Emil. So he's got quite a ways to go, but he's got 24 minutes of racing and driving left. Unfortunately, Thomas Worm Jr. looks like he's gone off track again. These cars are not easy to drive on edge for this long. And sometimes that's just how it goes. As you know, Misha, sometimes you just make one tiny mistake and off you go, right?
Yeah, for sure. And like with the new tires, as we quickly mentioned in the beginning discussion, it's gonna hurt your whole 30-minute stint if you battle it hard in the beginning stages. So I really wonder how Emmanuel, Julian, and Benze will be able to keep their pace towards the end of the race.
Definitely. Sorry. And here you can see Emmanuel Ojo is guarding that inside line off of Danny. Danny's now thinking about how can he get through with Ryan Winfeld ready to take one of those spots back as well. Or maybe not take that spot back, but take that spot. As soon as the doors open, he will walk through it. It looks like Danny is trying to go around the outside on Emmanuel through turn 1. Does he catch a little bit of grass? Yes, he does. And that's put Corey and Ryan up. So Corey was not able to make it through that gap, but Ryan was. And now they're going to be battling it out through the S's. They're coming down that hill in that giant S's sequence of turns right now. Looks like Ryan has a tiny bit of damage on his rear bumper, but I don't think that's going to affect him long term, fortunately. But that's allowed Emmanuel Ojo to start breaking away just a little bit and take some pressure off of himself. Absolutely wild. These guys are really giving it their all. And I've got a few people have made passes. Is there going to be a pass heading into turn? Let's see. I can't look at any replays. There's just absolutely way too much action going on everywhere throughout the field. We've got Jory and Bensa, who are closer than ever. Jory being the winner of that sprint race, has the pace. So let's see how Bensa, does he decide to defend it or let him go and let Jory bring him to that lead pack? Of course, battling it out is going to slow them down. But every position matters, isn't that right, Misha?
It is, but when you have Philip Hammer or 2 positions behind you, you better watch your overtaking or defending maneuvers, because a tiny mistake and the guy is through for sure.
Oh, definitely. I believe it is Philip Hammer is the leader of our standings currently. Igor Koz, who is out of the race, is second, but maybe not after this race. But if this were just a drop week, I'm sure he'll be able to come back through the season and get to where he feels he belongs in the league standings. And here we go with Emil and Bensa. Emil is taking the inside on turn 10, and Bensa is the outside. And it looks like Jory is through. Beautiful pass by Jory. And now he has a chance to bring them to that leader. It looks like Gordon as well in the lead of the race is starting to pull away from Emil. And he's got a nice sizable gap. He just has to manage that gap for how long? I would say 20 minutes. No biggie,
That's
right?
That's a long time, Michael.
No biggie.
Long time. And also, like, you see the gap like growing a bit because these guys are battling it out. and you start to like there comes, you should focus on racing, but like in the back of your mind, your head, there comes the thought like, I could actually win this. And that's the toughest moment, because you start losing focus so easily. It's a tiny mistake and the wind is blown.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, I'm following along. Sorry, I'm a little tiny bit sick, so I have slight coughs. I'm really sorry about that. But right now, I'm following along with Andrew Cole, Duncan Watts, Barry Clayton battling it out with Italo Anzioso for 16th position. And every position counts, as we were saying earlier, and these guys are not letting it go. They are battling it out every little bit of the way. They're getting closer, further, and they're not letting anyone get away. Expect to see a whole bunch of 2 wide. Looks like Barry is getting closer and closer. Is he going to make the attempt? And he starts thinking about it, and no, he doesn't. He's not able to get up alongside Andrew Cole. And so he's going to have to either wait one more lap or just hope that he makes a mistake.
Yeah, you need a lot of patience on this track. It's difficult to overtake for sure.
Oh, actually, back to it. It looks like Andrew Cole's getting the inside on Duncan Watts heading into turn 1. So that's going to put Duncan Watts around the outside. That is really not favorable. And Andrew Cole has gained a position with Duncan Watts behind. Barry Clayton starting to think about how can he get ahead as well. Looks like Duncan Watts has a tiny bit of damage on his front bumper. That may or may not be slowing him down on the straights. But Andrew Cole going wide down the S's may bring Duncan Watts right back in play to make a pass again on him. And Andrew Cole may lose that spot. Let's see how they do heading into turn 6, turn 7, and down that back straight. But real quick, I gotta go right up to Benza Cypher and Philip Hammer. Oh, and Philip was not able to get overlap into that corner. And so he's going to have to follow along a little bit longer and hope that Benza holds that draft to Jory. So we're going to head to, it looks like Rob West going 2 wide with Alexander Wilfert. And it looks like Rob West is now up a position. Duncan Watts was... Where is Andrew Cole? Where is Andrew Cole? I'm going to have to look at a replay for that one. It looks like he's going off the track. Oh. How did that happen? Let's take a look at how did that happen. Come on. Go backwards, replay. Here we go. And it looks like he lost control himself. Self-inflicted injury. Heading onto that main straight, he just went off the track and he's dumped himself down that ladder to the very back.
Just a little bit too much curb on that outside, and you dip the wheels on the grass, and it's game over. That's really frustrating if this happens to you.
Yeah, looked like he ate the whole curb for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And midnight snack.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here we got Philip and Benza going 2 wide into turn 10. Is Benza going to give it up? Philip Hammer's on the outside, brakes real heavy, gives space for 2 cars here, for one car of Benza Cypher, and he's now made it through. What an amazing pass from the Hammer, and he's now ahead of Benza, and he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to get up to Jory and make a pass. Jory, of course, has that very strong pace. They have 16 minutes to go in this race. It looks like Gordon is starting to lose that gap to where Jory is at. He's keeping a nice gap to Emil, but I can see the gap slowly decreasing to Jory. And what that means, of course, is Philip and Benza are right behind. You can see Julian coming down. Oh, someone's blinking. You can see Julian coming down the S's with Emmanuel Ojo directly behind and Danny Hugendorn heading into turn 6, not far behind. If any of these guys make a mistake, of course, is Ryan Winfeld. And it looks like there's actually a pass. I want to see, it looks like there's a pass into turn 3. I gotta get a replay on this one. Oh, and that's how it happened. Someone went off track. Off track and a whole bunch of passes. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, it's definitely a long time. Oh, here we go. Looks like Danny is trying to get ahead of Emmanuel Ojo. In turn 10, he's got the much more favorable inside line, shorter distance through that last turn. Still too wide, and let's see how it goes. And he is through. Yeah, definitely a challenge to drive this car. They have another 15 minutes. Misha, how do you feel after 15 minutes of a race?
It really depends on the race. I mean, you could be fighting, and it's like you're so much in the moment, and it passes super quick. But I remember the race last season at Imola. I had Gherkin and Ryan behind me, basically like I think 25 minutes of the race, within 1 second. That race did never end. I tell you, that went on forever. And it needs so much focus when you're the leading car to like just not make a single mistake. So it extremely depends on the situation.
Definitely, we
got pass in a second or
we've got
forever.
Philip Hammer going too wide against Jory Steinmeitz into turn 10. Let's see who comes out the winner of this battle. They go heavy on the brakes going down the hill. It looks like Jory has conceded the position and just tried to be conservative, not open that door too much for Benza Cypher, who will walk through if he's allowed to. And here we go. Philip Hammer is now in second spot. Jory is in third. I actually have on my list of events, where is it? Emil Koopmans, who is now in 8th spot, formerly second, went off the track. So let's just take a real quick look at how did that happen. He was directly behind Gordon. Oh, and that's unfortunate. That is an unfortunate moment to go off the track, and it's allowed a lot of cars to go by, and he's now... he must have gone off the track again. Yep, he did, and he's now down to 8th.
Yeah, the turn 5 definitely claims a lot of victims. It's so bumpy over those curbs. You just pin down the throttle hard, and it doesn't take much to lose the car.
Definitely. And you can see that Gordon is far enough in the lead that he may actually win this race. His odds are looking pretty darn good right about now, with 4.9 second gap to the Hammer, with Jory willing to battle it out, I'm sure, to get every single point that possible in our season standings. And we're following along with Danny Hugendorn and Julian Wicht. Oh, it looks like Julian outbrakes himself, goes way off the track, and that's given an easy pass for Danny here. But now Emmanuel is starting to think about poking the nose on Danny. He wisely backs out because it's a lot easier to go single file through that turn, but backing out has allowed Ryan Winfield to get right up behind him. Wow. And here we have it. Let's see how far back did Julian go. He's down into 9th, so that's not a horrible place to be. Real quick, let's take a look at the biggest movers, shakers, and losers and winners. Well, as you can see, Gordon's up 2 spots from where he started. Philip Hammer's up 4. Jory Steinmeitz is up 5. Benza's right where he started. Emil Koopman right where he started. Danny Hugendorn up 7 spots. Emmanuel Ojo is down 5. Ryan Winfield up 8. And Rob West up 6. Thorsten Seifert up 14. Lee Holmes up 12. Wow. Amazing, amazing drive. Oh, and it looks like Danny has also outbraked himself into that turn 10 and given up those positions. So he joins the likes of Julian Wicht many positions down, and Julian is now able to take advantage of that as well and get right back ahead of him. Imagine that. Emmanuel Ojo, what a drive he's having. Now battling it out with Ryan Winfield. Now, which of these drivers are you most scared about when you're on the track out there, Misha?
That's a really good question. I mean, having a guy a lot faster than you behind is obviously a bit uncomfortable. But you know, if the guy is patient, he's gonna, pass you. Maybe you can defend 2 or 3 laps. But you have to keep it reasonable. You have to pick your fights. Um,
I think
I don't
your
know.
your
It
responses have
can be
been
anyone.
your responses have been the most neutrally Swiss responses I've ever heard. It's lovely.
Yeah, that's why we feed our babies. To be neutral.
You're neutral from birth, right?
Yeah, that's what we are. But I mean, I have so much respect for all these drivers. The dedication they put in, the practice, the respect they show on track, the community behind it. So, I mean, I wish everyone well, and I'm happy for everyone who has a great race. Um, so yeah, it's tough to answer these questions because I genuinely don't really favor anyone in that regard strongly.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Here you can see really Danny and Julian are still battling it out. Danny's back ahead of Julian, and directly behind we've got Jason Lyons' first appearance in our race, in our league, in 10th position. Rob West in 11th after his coaching session. We can see a lot of improvement in his driving with 8 minutes, 8.5, 8 minutes, 50 seconds to go. I can see a huge chunk in our timing tower taken away from Gordon Ramsay. So it'll be really interesting if he can keep up his pace to stay ahead of Philip Hammer or not. But looking here at Jason Lyons, who's having a great first drive with Rob West following. Heading down this back straight, we're going to jump real quick to Emmanuel Ojo and Ryan Winfeld. Ryan is defending that inside as hard as he can. He may have actually cut himself short, but not quite. He's actually able to stay ahead of Emmanuel Ojo. What a beautiful, beautiful move from Ryan to defend that position. Great respect from both drivers to go side by side and not absolutely wreck themselves. So that is absolutely beautiful. Gotta wonder if that damage that Ryan has is hurting him just a little bit, and that's allowing Emmanuel Ojo, who still is very capable driver. I just gotta wonder if Ryan is his top end speed is leaving him open to be attacked. I guess we'll only find out after if he joins in the interview booth.
We should see on the back straight, but I think generally in iRacing, front bumper damage is gonna lower your top speed, and the rear bumper stuff is gonna make the car a bit more unstable in the corners. So I'm not sure how much Ryan actually loses on the high speed stuff.
Look at this, Julian Wicht and Danny Hugendorn are going at it again. Julian is now back ahead, Danny is behind. But of course, with the draft going down this straight, we're going to have another 2 wide heading into turn 10. Absolutely wild drive from both of these guys. They are madly in love going side by side all race long. Danny is now up ahead of Julian. What a pass. I'm expecting him to be passed again, just like that. Julian up the inside, heading towards the start-finish line. And there we go. We got about 7.5 minutes remaining. These guys, I don't think, are going to stop. Danny on the inside into turn 1, making that desperate dive and actually making it work, making it stick. So he's going to be ahead going into the S's. Julian is back behind. This is just not going to end. We're going to jump back to, where is it? Jason Lyons, who is 3 seconds back from the battle of Danny and Julian. But he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars behind him. So he's got a lot of pressure. He can't make any mistakes, especially when you have all those cars behind you. One little mistake, and that's a lot of spots that are just instantly gone. Misha, that's got to be a lot of pressure on this guy. Sorry, on his shoulders right at this moment. If you were in that spot...
Yeah, for sure it is.
If you were in that spot right now, of Jason Lyon's spot, what would you be thinking? What's your mindset?
So I'd be just really focusing on not missing any braking zones. It's like crucial because if you, especially this one, into the chicane, if you lock your front left tire, it will destroy your pace in the next few laps because there's a lot of fast right-handers, and if you lose that front left grip, it will naturally slow you down a lot. So not having any lockups is the kind of the most important. But it's a tough spot to be in. You don't have too much time to think about it because you're constantly checking your mirrors in case someone
Oh,
tries to.
and it looks like Lee Holmes has gone off. Yeah, that totally makes sense. There's a lot to think about, and I can see how focusing on braking smoothly, all of that is the way to go. And it looks like Jason Lyons has gone off. Let's just take a quick look at how that happened. And this turn has eaten up another car. Luckily, he got away without damage. Look at that beautiful recovery, but a lot of positions lost. Still in 13th position, not a horrible spot to be, especially for his first race. But jumping right up to the leader of this race, Gordon Ramsay, has Philip Hammer directly behind him. So, we thought that gap was safe, and no, it's Hammer time.
It is. I was just about to say we should focus to the front. I mean, we haven't talked about Gordon Ramsay all race because he's been clean up front driving his own race, but I'm not sure if there was a little mistake from him. The gap used to be at 3 seconds or something.
Yeah,
Maybe a little lockup or something that happened.
I actually don't
Um,
see any off tracks from Gordon, so he's been driving clean. That's all I've got for that. But Philip Hammer has still caught up.
yeah, Gordon seemed to have lost 2 seconds over Philip in the last lap. So there definitely was something, but Philip is really putting the hammer down,
Oh,
as one
definitely.
would say.
And he's closing in. We have about 3-4 laps left with our time remaining. We have a 30-minute feature race, and this is the point where tires really, really matter. And so we're going to see if Gordon has maybe really screwed up his tire management, or if he's done it real well. Obviously, Philip Hammer has done very well for his tire management. He may make a dive for turn one. Nope, he's going to stay back, be patient. He doesn't have to rush the pass if he feels he can make it elsewhere. And you can see right now, Philip is very, very close. You can almost put these two cars under a blanket together, and they can cuddle tonight. But uh, Philip Hammer is just not leaving him alone. But he's just going to be picking his time. Oh, and it looks like Gordon has gone off, and he just by being behind him, adding that pressure, it's put Gordon, it's psyched him out and has put him off the track. Luckily, he didn't lose too many more positions, but he's got Jory Steinmeitz directly behind, who got an excellent exit out of that corner onto the straight, and he may be thinking about getting some overlap on Gordon. Let's see how this goes. And that's released the Hammer into the lead. Gotta say, that must be real stressful. Misha, you've had that situation where you've got the Hammer directly behind you. what, what's going through your mind in all those moments?
Well, I've had the joy a few times last season, and it's definitely an uncomfortable place to be in. But the thing is, because Philip Hammer is he's quite a bit faster than me, so the inevitable thing is going to happen. He's going to pass you at one point. Philip is a really, really clean driver, so he won't go for some desperate dive, because he also has the confidence in his pace and his driving, as he's showing today again with the current P1 position. But you try to be fast, be quick, and it's going to happen at one point.
Definitely. I want to just take a quick look at Alex. Sorry. Oh, I hate my cough. Alexander Wilford and Talo Anzioso battling it out for 14th spot back here. I've seen these cars actually close together lap after lap, and this is a lot of improvement we've seen from Alex Wilford, who struggled with this car at first, and now he's showing some real pace in this Porsche and consistency as well, which is another thing he's struggled with. Alexander Wilford is a very strong driver in many other cars, so we definitely expected him to improve in due time. And here we go, here it is. He's now in 14th position, having the race of his life within our league. We're going to head up to Thorsten and Rob. Looks like Rob is going to go for the inside on Thorsten. He's going to try and make it work up the inside into turn 10. It is real tight. Thorsten concedes the position, allowing Rob to go off the track and down 2 positions to Thorsten and Thomas Worm Jr. So it's definitely another time where you think you're doing the right thing, making a pass, and the tiniest little mistake, all of a sudden off you go, and you're down. So
It was definitely also a smart move by Torsten to not defend to the bone, to just let the other guy make a mistake if he goes for something like last microsecond, and this is exactly what happened.
And here we go, Gordon Ramsay and Jory going down the straight on the final lap. This is the very last lap for all of the marbles. And are we going to see it too wide? We are definitely going to see it too wide. Jory is not going to leave that on the table. It looks like Barry Clayton in the back is conceding with the blue flag. Gordon Ramsay got the advantage out of that corner. Jory is still in 3rd position coming onto that final straight. Philip Hammer has won the race clean and clear. Gordon Ramsay in 2nd position. Jory Steinmeitz in 3rd. Benson Cipher not far behind in 4th. Emil Koopmans in 5th. Still coming around. We got a whole bunch of cars still looking to finish their final lap. Ryan Winfield is in 6th. Emmanuel Ojo in 7th. Danny Hugendorn in 8th. Julian ended up behind Danny Hugendorn after all of that battling. What a battle these 2 cars had. Thorsten Seifert in 10th. Thomas Worm Jr. in 11th. Rob West in 12th. Jason Lyons in 13th. And Alexander Wilford just coming into turn 10 right now. Italo Anzioso has lost that draft from Alexander Wilford. We got Alexander Redhead. I guess it's a popular name in Europe, isn't it? Got Duncan Watts coming around in 17th, heading into the final braking zone with Lee Holmes in tow. And I think these are the final 2 cars. Oh, and it looks like Duncan Watts may have spun his tires just a little bit of a wiggle, but able to hold 17th ahead of Lee Holmes. And that is the end of our race. Let's bring up those results. And our race winner, congratulations once again to Philip Hammer. And what a drive from Gordon Ramsay and Jory Steinmeitz. Absolute dynamite drives from all the drivers. Every one of them front to back. Benson in 4th, Emil in 5th, and down the list you go. So yeah, Misha, what's your take on what you just saw?
That was impressive racing. I'm really wouldn't say surprised, but maybe still a little bit that we have such a clean race. I mean, there have been few unfortunate cars, but looking at the grid size, it's remarkable, like how clean this race went and how much great racing action we've seen. How many clean overtakes. I'd say mainly like tiny mistakes and no huge ones. But yeah, congrats to everyone. And yeah, amazing to have been part of it.
Duncan Watts on our Twitch stream says that was hard work at the back. Yeah, it definitely looked like hard work. Every position mattered, and no one was letting anyone go. Of course, if anyone front or back of this grid wants to do an interview right now, I'd love to actually hear your thoughts on that race. How did the car feel at the end, the beginning, just any of it and all of it. But what a drive from every one of them. I can't wait to see the season standings race after race. This whole season is going to be absolutely intense. Just like we were saying earlier, the racecraft and just general accident avoidance, some luck, some skill and awareness in general is going to go a long way in winning this season. It's not going to be an easy season to get to the very end. It's our interview booth in the voice channels if anyone is interested, but I don't see anyone yet, so we'll just be turning on some music and ending the broadcast. But yeah, Misha Berger, are you going to be back next week in the car?
Fortunately, I won't. It's sad. I'll miss quite a few races this season. Just how the schedule turns out on my side. But I'll be back from Monza. Um, really looking forward to that turn one. That's going to be
Oh,
interesting.
I don't know if I'm looking forward to that one. That's gonna be it can be either an amazing sight to see or it could be an absolute wreck of the whole field.
But
So
I have good hopes. Like having seen this race today, I think we can have some really, really good racing there.
I definitely, you know what, I gotta just have high hopes. I do have high hopes, and I think that it's gonna work out for the best. I really do. I think enough people in our league really care about each other, care about a clean race, and I actually don't think we're gonna have a problem. So, but yeah, that's our sorry, that's our race of our Euro Global Division Porsche Cup Challenge Week 2 at Road Atlanta. And have a good night, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the race, and yeah, see you later. See you next week.